Hey, Miss Thang, how you doing? Miss
Good, good.
Jennifer
How are
Dora.
you?
Good,
Hi.
good. I hope everybody had a wonderful holiday and a happy new year, and I look forward to an awesome 2019. By the time this is there, it might be March, I don't know. But we are going to talk about cats and dogs and cat people versus dog people. You know, they always have these things on the Animal Planet channel, like who's smarter, cats or dogs? Who's smarter, cats, dogs, or humans? Oh, I can answer that one. They are. Kidding. So, hi, Eric. How are you doing? I love you.
Hi, love you.
All right. So, well, are you a cat or a dog spirit, Eric?
Hi. You know what? He loves all animals, but he says he's partial to dogs.
Oh, I figured. All right.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about some of the differences between cats and dogs? We'll start with the animals themselves. Their differences in personalities or anything else.
Yeah, so what's interesting is he's telling me that cats and dogs um like they're sort of similar beings in that they can come in as a cat or dog, like they can kind of switch, so their souls can be cat or dog when they come into a life. um he he's funny because he said sometimes, he said, people know that they have a dog and it's like that dog had to have been a cat in a past life, because some dogs behave very stereotypically like cats and some cats behave very stereotypically like dogs.
Exactly,
um
like Ringo, the black cat of Lucas's bed. He acts like a dog, comes when called, very vocal, very loving.
Yep. Yeah, and he says so that's why, because cats and dogs, they can switch it up. Um, so typically the dogs, he says, they're just gonna be more loyal than a cat. I'm sorry, he's made a joke about, cattle. If you die in the house of the cat will eat you, whereas the dog will, lay there and cry.
Oh,
Sorry.
oh my God, that's probably really true. I don't think
It
a
is.
dog would eat a dead
Yeah.
body unless it was
Um,
starving.
yeah, so he's just kind of cracking jokes a little bit because he says I do prefer dogs. Um, and cats just tend to be more standoffish. And he says, believe it or not, some people like that. Some people like that
Well, let's talk about that.
standoffishness.
Yeah, why do some people prefer the independence or the standoffishness of a cat as opposed to the,
In
clingy,
your
unconditional
face,
love in
yes,
your face thing of a dog?
love of a dog. Well, he says for some people, they're just because cats are lower maintenance. So some people, it just fits their lifestyle better, or they like to have a living creature around, but not necessarily so in your face, so all over you. Um, he says, for some people, they can't have dogs or they can't have cats because of allergies. So they may want the other, but they have to, if you're allergic to cats, you might just decide, okay, I'll have a dog, because I can't have a cat. But yeah, some people just like that independence. He says it's like the person is like in their lane and the cat stays in their lane, and there's like some crossover. He says where a lot of times with dogs, it's like everything you do, the dog wants to be a part of, they want to be involved in. They, you know, um,
I
eh,
know. Lucas is husky. She's actually still a puppy. She's 8 months old, but she's pretty big. Anytime I go to a sink to brush my teeth, wash dishes, she's up there on the counter. Hey, what you doing? What am I missing? Hey, what's going on? What's going on?
yeah.
She is so nosy. The dogs follow me everywhere, whereas our cats would not. Of course, you can get a hairless cat if you have allergies. I guess that would work.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And there are dogs that you can get to that are hypoallergenic. They've been bred
yeah,
to be
that's
that
right.
way.
Yeah, like I'm sure that like Bella. I mean, she doesn't really have an undercoat. Maybe she's. So was Ringo a dog in the past life?
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I figured.
Yes.
Okay. What was I going to ask about cats? Oh, why are they so finicky about food sometimes?
um, I Eric just flashed me an image of a meme that I had seen, and it's like the Egyptian cat, and it says, in ancient Egypt, cats were considered gods, and they've never forgotten that.
Oh my God, that's so true.
Cats just do kind of have a bit more of an arrogant attitude. And so if they don't like something, dogs want to please. Dogs truly do want to please their owners. Cats don't really want to do anything that's outside their comfort zone.
Oh, but is there a spiritual reason for a cat to come into our life versus the dog to come into our life? Is there anything each certain specific things that each are here to teach us?
Okay, so what Erik is telling me in general with both of them, that they are here, both cats and dogs. This is not a distinguishing difference between the two of them. Um, Basically, he's kind of saying we agree to come here, and it does kind of suck here. So we have these animals that make it suck less.
Yes.
And so it's kind of like a gift for us from the universe, from God, whatever you want to call it. It's like, okay, yeah, you have to do this, but you can have these animals that will love you. And he said, truly, truly, without animals, without pets, specifically pets, and I don't want to limit that to cats and dogs because other people have
Of course.
kind of pets.
Hmm.
He said humans would not be able to come and do what we do without pets.
Mm.
Now there are people who don't have pets, and of course, that's a whole separate thing. But he said, in general, if there were no pets, he said the human race just wouldn't survive.
Oh, wow.
We would implode.
Wow. Can you tell me anything else different about a dog lover versus cat lover as far as maybe one, maybe the dog just, they need the unconditional love. Maybe
Yes. Yeah.
they have low self-esteem. I don't know. Is there anything to it
Yeah.
as far
So
as the difference?
dog lovers, he said, dog lovers truly are seeking companionship. They need that kind of energy of something that's not going to betray them, that's not going to let them
Oh,
down. So he says a lot of times dog lovers will have um, an undertone of working on that betrayal, or feeling betrayed in this lifetime. So they're drawn to that dog energy because, I mean, dogs are just so loyal, and so that is one there. And as far as like cat people, um, he said sometimes cat people tend to be a little bit more isolated. They tend to be a little bit more withdrawn. So cat people might be looking more like of a, okay, you need to get out there, you need to stop hiding. He says a lot of times cat people tend to hide themselves and
okay.
their
So,
emotions. They kind of block their emotions. They're a bit more guarded.
okay. Probably not all, but yeah, maybe a
Yeah.
tendency to do that.
Yes.
So of course you have these. I see on Animal Cops Houston how this lady has like 50 cats in her home and things like that. So um, that seems to be more common than hoarding dogs, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay, so what's up with that? Why?
Uh, okay. Well, he number one, he does say that there is some typically mental illness involved there,
Oh yeah, I can
for
imagine.
sure. But the cats breed quicker.
Oh
The,
okay, yeah,
the
yeah.
cats breed quicker.
Mm, okay, that
Um,
makes sense.
and they have more, not always, but a dog might have one or two puppies. Cats, there's 3 or 4 kittens, and then they're getting pregnant, and they can get pregnant at 4 or 5 months old. It's this cats breed
Yeah.
faster.
Wow. Oof. Okay, so are there any other differences between like a cat lover? Do they tend to be more intellectual? I just made that up. I don't know where it's coming from.
No, no, he says it doesn't, it's not really about that. It really, there's a lot of it has to do with what we're here to work on, but not really one necessarily is smarter than the other or anything like that. Um, it's just what we're here to work on. And it's funny because he does say cat people, a lot of times there's a theme of working on not isolating yourself.
Oh, and the other is the dog lovers. They need to work on betrayal,
Yep.
even if it's from another life, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep. Yep.
Um, all right. So, what are the strengths and weaknesses of cats and dogs as a general rule? Let's start with cats.
Well,
One strength, one weakness.
okay, so survival is a strength for cats. Because of their independence, they have a survival strength. And he just said, I want to specify, we're talking about domesticated cats and dogs, not wild.
Yes. Oh yeah.
Domesticated cats and dogs. And a strength, well, the strength for he says dogs are smarter. I don't know if he really means it or not. Dogs are smarter, but that's what he just said, because he's like,
it depends on how you measure intelligence. They might have more emotional intelligence, but as far as pure instinctual intelligence, maybe the cats.
Yes, well, because he said dogs, you can train dogs to do so much. Like the service dogs, you can train dogs to be so much, like do so much. And he says, so that is one of their strengths. Like a big strength that dogs have is that they're, it's like he says, like they understand language. They understand us, no matter what language we speak.
I saw
dogs understand us better.
Yeah, I saw this great documentary, Dogs, The Untold Truth, or something like that. And they talked about how they can read our energy, they can read facial expressions, and figure out exactly our, the emotions behind it. They can read our emotions, whereas cats, either they can read it and ignore it, or they can't read it, which is
he actually says it's more that they can't read it.
Oh, I see.
But he says that dogs and horses are very similar in that way.
Oh, okay.
Dogs and horses, he says there's a lot of similarities with the emotional connection to humans between dogs and horses.
Wow, because I know that dogs, horses, if you're up on that horse and you're afraid, they sense it.
Yeah.
And they will take advantage of it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep. Okay. So he kind of puts those two together in that way. So he just really does love dogs. Not that he doesn't love cats. He's just he's such a fan of dogs. But he says you can never train a cat to do what you could train dogs to do.
It's like, remember, it's like herding cats. That saying is there for a reason.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Right. What about weaknesses?
Okay, one of the weaknesses for dogs is their dependency. He says they are very, very domesticated, of course. They're very dependent on their humans. And well, he says the weakness for cats is their curiosity.
Curiosity killed the cat.
Yes, he said it truly is a weakness that they have.
And the fact that cats have 9 lives, that must have to, they don't really have 9 lives. Well, they have infinite lives, but because they survive so easily. More easily. Or do do dog lovers tend to be more of more nurturing than cat lovers, or vice versa, or neither?
Okay, so he says in general, it's interesting. In general, he says dog lovers do tend to be more emotionally vulnerable, is how he puts it.
I see.
This is just in general. They do tend to be more emotionally vulnerable than cat people do.
And maybe that's why they want that unconditional love.
Yeah. Yep.
Do they tend to be empaths or empaths? Would they choose a dog or a cat?
He said it doesn't matter.
Okay.
See, it's more like empaths will want pets, whereas maybe people who are less empathic won't be drawn to having pets.
I got you. All right. Do cats and dogs see spirits?
Oh, yes.
Do they equally? Or do
yes,
cats?
Yes.
It seems like cats. I get the feeling that cats can see energy, entities.
Cats
better, but
the reason is because cats are spooked more easily by it.
Oh, so it seems like they're
Yes. Whereas dogs, they see it, but they don't always just pay attention to it. It doesn't seem to startle them like it does cats. Erik scared I'm a cat person. I love dogs too, but I have certain allergy issues. Can't have dogs. But Erik scared a couple of my cats once because I was talking to him. I said, Erik, could you please just come around? Let me know you're here. And I had 2 cats sleeping right on the couch next to me, and they both popped up and looked right up over my shoulder. And their eyes were huge. And I was like, okay. But it was like that. But it was clearly obvious where if a dog had been sitting there, the dog may have just casually turned and looked, and you wouldn't really think anything of it. Whereas a cat, they startle, they start, they run, so you're like, what the heck did they just see? Whereas a dog is more cool about it.
Oh yeah, they're cool
Yeah.
like that. All
Yeah.
right. So what kind of spiritual contracts make a spirit want to incarnate as a cat, and then also as a dog? I mean, do they have spiritual contracts to go through, like we do,
Well,
for one thing?
he says it's really kind of more like, yeah, they do, but he says it's more that they do want to come and be with the people and help the people.
Okay.
It's not as much that they're learning like our souls are learning and really trying to learn these difficult, hard lessons. They come in because it's part of their job to come in and be with
Ah,
the humans.
I gotcha. All right. Do they often return to us?
Yes.
I
Yes.
figured.
Yep.
I know that Bella used to be my Weimaraner Zoe.
Yeah.
I
They
accidentally called her Zoe several times. So.
yeah, he said that they'll come back in. Um, they'll come back in pretty quickly if they can to be with us at least a couple times, if they can in a lifetime. But they'll travel with us through different lifetimes as well.
Oh, cool. Um, Here's a blog member question. Can our pet cats and dogs, understand our thoughts or only our energy? Or maybe it's our emotions. I don't know.
Yeah, it's he said it's not really like they can't really hear your thoughts. It's more that they pick up on your energy. They're very intuitive, even cats, even though they don't tend to be as emotionally available as dogs do. They're very intuitive. So yes, it would be more that they're picking up on your emotion. If you want to think of it like almost as if like they can read your aura.
Wow,
So
interesting.
they can tell when you're sad. They can tell when you're happy, excited, mad. Yes, they can. Even cats.
Even without the tone of voice, you just,
Yep.
wow, that's
Yep. They
pretty
can just
cool.
feel it.
And it's cool how some can detect whether a seizure's coming on or whether somebody's
Yes.
becoming hypoglycemic. So I
Yes.
guess your energy changes with
Yep.
that. And that's so
Your
freaking,
energy and your smell with some of it, it's about the way the person smells.
wow.
There's like a change in the smell, which of course he said cats can probably sense that. They just wouldn't be able, they couldn't indicate to you. Whereas a
Right.
dog can be trained to indicate to you that something's going to happen, where a cat might notice it, but they wouldn't be able to indicate to you.
Yeah, like Lassie. Oh, come on, he's drowning. Come
He's
on,
in the
follow me. That's
well. Yeah.
yeah, that's funny. And I
Yes.
know there was one guy who
I've,
his
I've,
his dog kept sniffing once out of his head. He said, "Oh, okay, I'll get a CAT scan," and he had a tumor. Caught it early.
yep,
Cool.
yep.
Cancer does have a special smell, even
Well,
I
and now
smell.
Erik has just said that also. He said like those pets, though, like service animals who come in and can do these things. He said, like on the other side, it would be in our soul contract that we would have this animal come in who can help us, and
Mhm.
so the animal agrees to come in and help us, and then some of the stuff that the dogs do is actually, he said, very well guided by souls on the other side.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Yep.
do they have their own guides, spirit
Yeah,
guides?
yeah. Well, he says, especially in particular, these ones who are here helping us save our lives. Yes, he said yes. It's almost like when that tumor, he said, it's like as if somebody from the other side made that smell like bacon or peanut butter or something.
Oh
So
my
the dog is
God,
sniffing like that, like drawing the attention. That's pretty interesting.
that's
So the
it.
dogs that do that kind of stuff are very well guided through spirit guides. And he said you could kind of think of it more like it's one of the person's spirit guides helping
Oh,
the dog, with this. It's like they work in tandem.
all right. So when they transition and go to the other side, who's there to greet them?
Everybody. Erik said
Everybody.
everybody. Yeah, he says
Yeah.
they can just go around to whoever they want. They've got the freedom, and they can just kind of go around to whoever. And he says, of course, everybody over here loves,
Oh,
the animals,
yes,
cats,
of
the dogs. Even if you're in a
course.
life where you don't necessarily care for an animal, or
Yeah.
you're not, some people are animal people.
Yeah, that's
They're afraid
fine.
of animals, or
Yeah.
whatever the reason is. But he said everybody, when you get over here, you just adore animals.
Oh, that's awesome. So, is their afterlife any different than ours?
Mm. No, he says they're in the well. I mean, in a sense, because they don't go over there and do the same things. They're not still trying to learn and grow their soul. They're,
Oh, yeah.
um, but they're in the same place. They're in the same
Okay.
place, is what he says.
It's probably a lot easier to lick their butts over there, don't you think?
Yes.
They're probably much more flexible.
Yes.
Okay, I don't know why they smell each other's butts. I thought they had a really good sense of smell. And why would you want to get that close to a turd, too?
I don't know.
Mm.
I just don't
I
know.
guess you just have to be there. Be in their shoes. But no, thank you. I am a light worker, this person says. I wonder why the animals brought in my home seem to follow my every move. I do not feed them nor do things for them. I do send my love to them. I don't want them hurt. Are animals drawn to light workers, or is it something
Yes.
else? Oh, I
No,
figured. Wow.
it's absolutely, they can see the light. They dogs and cats are a very good judge of character.
Oh,
So they're very drawn. It's like one of those things, like if you have a dog and they don't like a person, that's something to pay attention to.
I do. When
Yep.
workers come into somebody comes to my
Hmm.
house,
Yep.
they copy the same sense that I get of that person's
Yep.
energy. I feel like that's a good soul and they're real sweet, or. All right,
Yes.
here's one. Do cats evolve into humans, or do they stay cat origin in all their incarnations?
Yeah. Eric says they stay animals. They don't necessarily have to stay cats. They can be other animals. But he says that they don't evolve to humans. Eric says it's a different kind of being.
Okay. Is it outbound with our. Okay. So some people ask personal questions about their pets, but I really can't do that. Let's see. I think I am a cat and dog person, but I really appreciate the sassy and independent nature of a cat. Does it say anything about the owner of the pet if one prefers a cat? So we did that already. What causes so many pets nowadays to be overweight?
The It's actually the poor nutrition in the food, the
Oh,
chemicals in the food, this kind of stuff. Plus, he says, um, well, this would be more relevant for dogs, but it's getting harder. People are so busy that they don't have time necessarily to walk the dogs and to exercise the dogs
oh, I know.
like they should. But it is the food quality. A lot of
Yeah.
it's the food quality.
Yeah, well, they have those things where something automatically tosses and retrieves a ball, or you can put them on a little treadmill. I don't know.
Yes.
I
Yep.
put mine on my treadmill, really going slowly, and
Uh-huh.
all of a sudden she pooped all over my treadmill, and that thing, the belt, was just like
Oh
going,
no.
right in the mechanism.
Oh.
Um, all right. Why is there an increase in cancer in cats and dogs?
Okay, he said again, it's chemical. So chemicals in the food that they're eating, chemicals in the grass, that kind of, the treatment of the houses. If
Oh,
that sort of stuff does increase that. And he also says that part of it is that there's more people, there's more animals, and there's more awareness. So he says animals have always died of cancer. We just didn't
ah,
always know that that's what, that was what they had.
I
Um,
see. Well, some people think that Roundup, the weed killer, and what we farmers put on a lot of crops, are used to. I don't know if they still do, is responsible in part for the increase in cancer.
mhm.
Glyphosate, glyphosate, I can't remember.
Yeah, yeah. No, he says it is. The chemicals do increase that, and he says the chemicals also increases the joint problems.
Oh, yeah, that's no good.
No.
So, because of that, I've changed all of our dogs to, well, there's a number of them, but we give them Taste of the Wild. It is wild source or wild caught, meat, salmon, wild caught salmon, venison, whatever. no grain, so you don't have any chance
Yeah.
of, but even no chicken, because poultry, they're fed like corn that
Yeah.
that could have this Roundup stuff in it. So so what do you think about that?
Yeah.
Okay, what is the best food for our cats and dogs?
Yeah, anything all natural, organic, no grains, or low in the grains is the best thing to feed them.
And low in meats and animals that eat grain, like
Yes.
beef and poultry and stuff.
Yep. Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so the wild caught stuff
Okay.
is the best, and organic.
Any other recommendations for diet?
He says vitamins. Vitamins can be very, very good for the animals.
Like which ones in particular are they usually not given enough of?
Um, anything for joint health, anything for the bones, for the animals, he said is really good for them.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't know enough about pet vitamins to be able to tell like any kind of brands or anything, but he says anything for the joint health and the bones
Okay. So we can
is
find that
good.
out by
Mhm.
Googling it probably.
Yeah.
Any other advice for their care?
No, he says just love them and give them attention and affection, and he said that's really all that they need. You
That's
know.
important. I've
Yes.
had read a number of stories of people being at the vet about to euthanize them, but then they asked their vet to try low dose naltrexone, and 6 weeks later the dog is cancer free and running around and also happy. So does low dose naltrexone often help uh, our cats and dogs?
Yeah, yes, but he said that most vets would never even think. You would have to ask.
Oh
You would have
yeah,
to ask. You would
yeah,
have to be upfront and say something about it because he said the vets aren't going to think of it.
yeah.
They
No,
just
I sent mine the story in the LDN Research Trust. I think it's called Family Success Stories because it helped their pets survive cancer and there's somebody in the family with dementia. So, what kind of conditions would LDN help in cats and dogs?
cancer. He says it'll help with. He's drawing me to the kidneys. So kidney, disease there. He says it can help with a lot of stuff, but he does say, animals. It's more that it's in our contract that when we have an animal that we love, that when they actually do go, it's because it's in the contract
Mm,
that this is when they leave us. Um, so he said, for anybody who is thinking, oh, I should have tried that.
yeah,
He said, no, they were supposed to go.
yeah.
That's when they were supposed to go. And it. He actually said massage too is very, very good.
Oh,
It's like he said, yeah, try to massage a cat. He kind of rolls his eyes like try to massage a cat. But
oh, I
dogs are
bet you
very friendly.
could.
Yeah, you
Yeah,
could, but some cats would just run off. He said a lot of cats would just run off, or you'd be rubbing them and they'd turn around and bite you a little bit.
I know.
But dogs, he said in particular, especially like their hips, their joints, work on those. So just energy work. Energy work is very, very good for animals. They're also very sensitive to the stones and the crystals. And
Oh,
he says you've got to be careful though. If you're somebody who's very into the all natural stuff, he said make sure you check because you cannot necessarily put essential oils on animals.
oh. So,
Okay.
are there holistic vets that can
Mhm.
give us some guidance and
Yeah. Oh,
holistic energy?
absolutely.
Oh, wow. Okay, good. And of course, there are animal communicators too. Uh,
Yes.
okay. Uh, let's see. What are the most common mistakes that we make with our cats and dogs?
He says with dogs, one of the biggest things is them being left alone too long.
Oh,
It's not the same with cats. Cats, because of their independent nature, they can go longer without humans being home. But he said dogs get left home for hours and hours on end. And
yeah.
he said if you he said if you have to do that, he says it's better that there's at least 2 dogs. They
Yes.
need company. They if you're somebody who's gone a lot and your dog is home by themselves, it can cause depression for them.
Oh yeah.
So it's like they almost need another dog around to
Yeah.
help with that. And that's one of the biggest, he says, that's one of the biggest things is people who work too much or
Yeah.
work a lot, having dogs that are alone.
I remember my mother and father bought a German Shepherd, not because they wanted something to love, of course, they were so horrible, but because they wanted the house to, we had been burglarized right
Mhm.
before that. So they wanted a guard dog. I came home from college once, and there was Lindy. They had locked her up in this small area of the garage, and she had her water. He had his water bowl and his food bowl. The food was wet, crawling with maggots.
Ugh.
And I thought, oh my God, how awful.
Yeah, neglect.
That is terrible.
Yeah, that is terrible. And he said, there are a lot of animals who end up neglected.
Yeah, I see the Sarah McLaughlin.
Yes.
It's so heart-rending.
Oh, it's
So
awful.
are we to learn something from that, from the abuse that goes on?
Yeah, he says we are, um, about opening up your hearts, helping, um, shining light on stuff like this. He says does help to eliminate and limit that type of stuff. And he says, really, he says actually, he says that humans' compassion towards animals, he said, is a lot of times more so than humans' compassion towards other humans.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of people that say, "Oh, I like dogs or cats or whatever better than humans.
Yes.
Less drama."
Yeah. And so he says actually there is something to learn there about how we treat each other.
Mm,
Looking at how people mistreat animals and then how many people step up to take care of animals and love animals. He said we can learn how to treat each other better by looking at how people treat animals.
wow. Because we're all one, even with
Yep.
the animals.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see. Do dogs understand what their dogs understand what their owners are saying to them? We talked about that. Um, are they usually cats and dogs that we have in this life usually part of our soul family?
Eric actually says, yeah, they do often come back. They're souls, animal souls you've seen before. But he said, but not always. Sometimes there's new animals that you've never been with before.
Oh,
Like
okay.
people, just like people. He said, a lot of times you travel with the same people, and then sometimes somebody absolutely new you've never encountered before comes in. So he said it's very, very similar to that.
Okay. Do we randomly choose our animal companions or are they selected to be with us?
No, he said they're selected to be with us, or we select them.
Prior to incarnation, I guess.
Yep, yep.
What do they do, cats and dogs do with their time in the afterlife? We know they don't go through, evolving and lessons, but what do they do? Run around and chase each other?
Yeah, play, and they
Yay!
interact with the other souls and with the angels, and they just kind of, it's like they're like little rays of sunshine. Like, it's just like,
Oh,
oh, they're just like, I don't know, they just bring happiness. They just bring happiness and love, and so they do.
just like they do here.
Yeah, yes, yep.
Okay. Um, can humans communicate with their deceased pets just with their thoughts? Just like we
Yes,
can with, oh, that's awesome.
yep.
Now, why do they pick one person in a large household as their favorite? I have 4 cats, and each one has a different human they love the most.
It would be because that's the soul that they know the best.
Ah,
So
okay.
they'd be drawn to the soul that they've been with the most amount of times.
Okay. All right. My question is, do cats represent the divine feminine more than dogs, the masculine? I know that there are gray areas, but in general, this one person wants to ask.
I our our connection
What now?
our connection
Oh, yeah, I
our
know.
connection
Okay.
went out, and I didn't hear that last
Oh,
question.
okay. My question is, do cats represent the divine feminine more than dogs, the masculine? Oh, and dogs, the masculine. I know there are gray areas, but in general.
I, I apologize. Let's. I can't hear you at all. It's frozen. I'm not sure if you can hear. Connection's gotten bad.
Uh-oh.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Let's hope the third time's a charm on that question. Go ahead one more time with it.
Okay. Well, let's just. Are cats the divine feminine and dogs the masculine?
He says no. He says both animals would have the feminine and the masculine within them.
Can an animal be your spirit guide?
Yeah, oh absolutely. It's like not he says it's like your spirit animal. So yes, we can have a spirit animal, but that would be different. A spirit guide, he said, would be a soul similar to ours, a human soul.
Okay.
But spirit animal, yes.
Okay. If a dog has behavioral issues like excess barking due to anxiety, how can an owner connect with the dog to help them overcome this and put them at ease?
Okay, so he's actually said that those vests or whatever those blankets are,
Oh, yeah,
are
weighted blankets.
yes.
Okay, the ones you use for autistic kids.
Yes, and they make something for dogs that you can put on them. He said those are very, very effective. He says so that's a good one.
How do you ground a upset dog or cat? Beside that, of course, that's one thing, but
Well, he says cats are gonna probably, if a cat gets really upset, the cat will run off and hide.
okay.
For the most part, so the cat will hide until they've kind of calmed themselves down. He says dogs, sometimes you do have to hold the dog tight. Um,
Okay.
Wrap them up like swaddle them like a baby, or hold the dog tight
Mm-hmm.
to get them to stop panicking.
Oh.
Um, yeah, and he said, sometimes dogs do need anxiety medications.
Oh, yeah.
Um, and he said absolutely, if you try all the natural stuff and it doesn't work, he said sometimes dogs do need anxiety medication.
Okay. Uh, Also, we often hear that the owner has to show the dog they are the ones in control. So, how would an owner do this in a humane way? I think most dogs don't want to be the leader of the pack anyway, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah. So Erik says this is true. Dogs do have to know that they are not the alpha in the house. And he said one of the big reasons is because if you don't do that, then you have a dog that maybe you can't handle and you have to find a new home for. You have to rehome because the dogs become such a problem. And of course, um, and I just happen to know this. One of the things that I have been told when you're playing with a dog, if you play tug of war with a dog, with their toy, and
Mm-hmm.
this is true. He said you got to tell people. He said you can never let the dog win the toy.
Ooh.
So even if you have to open the dog's mouth a little bit and take the toy away from them, you can give the toy right back, but you can't. You should never let the dog get the toy from you.
Yeah, you're fighting over prey and the little squeaky.
Yes.
That's like, must be
Yeah.
like the animal squealing in pain or something. It's awful.
Yes, and Erik says it is best for the animal. It's best for the dog if they know that they are not in control and not in charge in the home, because he says a lot of people do have to get rid of animals that they love because they feel as though they can't. Not, they feel as though they can't take.
Oh, we froze up again a little bit.
Uh-oh. Yep.
Oh, it's okay.
Yep.
Do you like the techniques of Caesar Milan, the dog whisperer, Erik?
He said some of them, yes. He does. He does like some of them.
Okay. What about? Oh, go ahead.
He said it's you know some people he said don't like to think about asserting your dominance. They feel like it's mean to assert yourself over a dog. And so he said it's okay, you know, as long as you're not hurting the dog, as long as you're, you know, not mistreating the animal. He said it is okay to assert your dominance over the animals.
Yeah, there's a lot of anxiety involved in being the leader. They don't want that kind of responsibility.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
you know, that's why you get this little dog syndrome. People do not assert, give this dominant energy toward a little bitty dog. So they become yappers every time the doorbell
Yep.
rings, etc. I know. All right, what do you think about the cat whisperer? I'll call him. I think his name is Jackson Galaxy, or maybe it's Galaxy Jackson. He's the guy from My Cat from Hell. Eric, what do you think about him
Um,
and his
he
techniques?
he says he does like him. He said that's a little funnier to watch.
Mm-hmm.
I personally don't know anything about this, um, but he does like it. Uh,
Okay.
both of those people, both of those animal trainers are very intuitive, very empathic to animals. It's
Oh,
why
okay.
they're so good at it. It's why they're so good at it.
That's awesome. Um, uh, okay, which cat or dog are more emotion based as opposed to pure instinct? Well, we answered that. Which of the cat or dog are more territorial?
Okay, so he really says that's a case by case
Yeah,
basis.
yeah. I've seen,
It,
you know, animal behaviors put this hand out for the dog's food bowl, you know, and so I guess,
yeah,
yeah.
but he says cats can also be incredibly territorial. It's in their nature, and he says actually, it's in their nature from like the wild, the not domesticated. It's just part of their nature for
Okay,
them both to kind of be territorial.
okay, all right. Which can understand humans the best? Do they pick their humans? And can they be reincarnations of family or friends you've lost? So no, that's not true. Okay, they come back as cats or dogs. But
Yeah,
do they often pick? Well, you said that we
it's
said
really more
maybe
us
it's
that.
mutual.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I guess it would have to. He says like it's kind of like a meeting, but it's really more us that kind of makes the decision um,
Okay.
of the animal that we would need and would want to come in with us.
Okay. Um.
But he says the animal does have. He says actually the animal has the like doesn't have to come if they don't want to, if they don't feel ready to
Oh,
come
good.
back.
So they have free will. You can't
Yes, they don't
drag
have
them
to come
kicking
back.
and screaming.
Yes. And he said, nor would we want to. You know, we wouldn't want to bring an animal in who wasn't ready to come back.
Oh no. We could
So
wave a cucumber in front of them and say, you better, because you know how they hate cucumbers. Have you seen those
yes,
YouTubes where they look and there's a cucumber?
yeah,
What's that
yeah.
all about? They must think it's a snake or something.
I don't know what it is.
It's
Weird though.
hilarious. I really want to do that. I'm not that cruel. Um, why do cats and dogs live such short lives compared to humans?
You know what he's just said is that it's like because they're just so much love to them. He's like their energy can't stay that long. It's very interesting because they're so pure. Their hearts are
Mm,
so pure, and there's so much love. They can't stay that long here.
mm,
It's too difficult. It's too heavy for them. It's why they age quicker
wow.
than we do. It's like it's almost as if us as humans having that other side of us where we have the negativity and we have the darker side actually kind of helps us more here than it does with animals. They don't have it, so
Oh, okay.
they like we have the balance here,
Okay.
um, and they
Well,
don't,
do you
so
think
they don't
part of it
stay.
could be maybe part of it is that it's to teach us about loss, especially children. Sometimes that's their first contact with the concept of death.
Yeah, yes, that is one of the things that they come here to teach us is about loss.
Will there be
Absolutely.
will there be some sort of technology in the future that will help them live longer?
Well, he said they're working on stuff,
Okay.
but he says
Who's they? people here, or
Yeah, yes. It's already stuff that's being worked on to keep the animals here longer. He says, I personally don't know if this is already happening, but he said there will be transplants and stuff, animal transplants.
oh, ooh, wow! I never
Um,
thought of that.
yeah. So I don't, whether it makes it into mainstream or not, it's experimental stuff.
Okay. I know cats get kidney disease a lot, right? I
Hmm.
think it's
Yes,
often the cause of death. Do our deceased cats and dogs come to visit us often?
absolutely. Absolutely. They
Okay.
come and visit.
All right. I guess this is the last question. How do we know when to euthanize them? Sometimes they're ready to go. They want to go, so you could channel them
Yeah.
to an animal communicator or something. But
Yeah. Erik says, um, it's like we're never ready to do it, and it's very, very difficult for us to make that decision here. He said sometimes you just know that it's time, and he said that would be your guides telling you, it's time for this animal to go.
yeah,
They're suffering, um, but he said, oftentimes we hang on.
yeah,
He can't even say longer than we should, longer than we need to. Um, we just postpone making a decision that inevitably needs to be made.
yeah. Well, I think it would be a good idea to use the pendulum or dowsing rods like Raylene
Yes.
teaches in one. You can ask their higher self
Yep.
if they're ready to go, or use an e-board or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and he said sometimes in a situation like this, it is good to consult somebody else or something else, because your ego and your love and stuff is going to get in the way of making maybe um, the best decision for the animal.
Mm,
So he
no,
said, yeah,
it's
definitely consult other.
sometimes when I had a patient that was terminal, I could see the angst in the family of trying to make a decision to pull the plug. And sometimes I would just say, "Would you like me to make the decision for you?" Because they didn't want that burden. And if they said
Yeah,
no, that's fine. But they usually said, "Yes, please." So
yeah, yeah. And that's what it is, because there's guilt, because on the other side of making any decision like that, whether it's about a pet or a person, there's guilt. There's guilt
yeah,
on the other side of that we don't want.
I know. Oh, I hope Bella lives a long life. Will she, Erik? Will you make sure she does, but suffering free?
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
goody.
Said I will do my best.
I'm going to hold you to it. All right. So thank you so much. Anything else you want to share, Erik, about cats, dogs, cat people, dog people?
No, he says he just loves the animals. He just loves the animals, loves them.
And they love you, and I love you. You guys check
Love
out
you.
Jennifer at psychicmediumjenniferdoran.com. I'll put it right here. Jennifer, you want to add anything else?
No, just thank you.
Thank you, babe. This was awesome. You have a good rest of the week.
You too.
Bye.